so I wanted to go up that ladder. But then I waited years to get into an RN program. I was applying to community college, and it was just like a raffle. So I wasn't really getting into the community college, and so it was kind of a drag, right? But then eventually, my wife joined the military reserves, or Army Reserves, because, I don't know, we're getting pretty stagnant, right? I was waiting to get into the RN program. I just worked and worked. I saw no progress. I was working like 14 days sometimes in a row. I was working mornings, evenings, and then graveyard shifts. So that just, I don't know, that wasn't the life that I imagined. And so it wasn't until I was introduced into crypto actually by my brother Michael. He was kind of projected, he was showing me he was kind of projected to make $1 million a year from crypto, and I was like, man, I can't resist that. So I went into crypto. I was making thousands, hundreds, tens of thousands. And I was like, why am I working? Why am I working when I can just make money? I can just make money sitting on the internet. Nothing. So why go spend the time to go into work, clock in, and have to make money that I can't even enjoy? But then, as I was making that money, I was envisioning how my life would be. I was gonna quit my job. I wanted to travel more. I wanted to invest in rental properties, stuff like that. But then the market crashed and I got into bigger debt because I didn't have that financial foundation. I went into a big emotional loss and I got depressed. I was like, how do I get this back? I don't know, I got mentally sick and physically, so then I turned into research, right? I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was a big inspiration to me. But then as I was listening to everything, and listening to YouTube podcasts, everything just reminded me of Charles, because he was kind of the one that told me, you should be an entrepreneur, not spend so much money on education and not get much in return. So this created my new drive. I've lost so much money. I was tired of looking at my debt. I was tired of owning so much money and not having enough money. I was just tired of being broke. I was working and the amount of effort that I put into work, I wasn't earning as much as I would like. So I was like, how do I get wealthy? As I was listening to these podcasts, they're telling me to surround yourself with successful people. And that's kind of what I did with YouTube. Those were the only people that I thought of at the time. Right? I was like, oh, let me listen to this $100 million person on YouTube and see maybe I can follow their footsteps. But then after a while, it made me realize, oh wait, Charles kind of taught me the same stuff. Why not go to him? And so that's when we reconnected. And then, after that, things just accelerated, honestly. So after I met with Charles, I attended the convention. I attended Trainers Academy, and being in the environment was totally different from just listening to the YouTube or the podcasts or the audiobooks. It's just the experience itself helped me embody the vision that I wanted, because just being in person is it's much more motivating. So as I felt that motivation, I was like, I'm gonna make the intention to get my license. I passed it in 2 weeks. But at the same time, I was trying to make appointments, and I had to reschedule. I got cancels. I was getting a lot of doubts. I thought to myself, maybe it's not for me. Again, right? Maybe I can't do the business. But then when I learned all this stuff from YouTube, I actually created this mentality where, it's only a failure if I give up. Right? If I stopped doing what I was going to do, then there was no point. but if I kept going and doing what, any small activity, one activity a day, at least, that brought me to some sort of accomplishment. And so as I had doubt, I had to learn a little bit more, and when I learned, the doubt kind of went away because, more knowledge, it was easier for me to explain to like other people that I was prospecting to. So I was learning the presentations, the blue book, and then I was teaching. And teaching also adds that, the education to stick into your mind. And so the only thing that was holding me back was my thoughts. I had so much doubt and that I was pushing myself down that I couldn't get as far as I could, right? So, I talked with Charles so many times, and he put actual more belief in me. He wrote out the bubble chart for me, and I was like, I don't think this person's gonna wanna do it. I don't think this person's gonna wanna do it. They have their own business. But Charles had that belief, like, just try it. Just do it. Like, there's no harm in trying and see what the result was gonna be. So I was like, okay, you know what, you're successful. I'm gonna follow you. So that's exactly what I did. I just followed the person that's, successful, that's guiding the way to where he achieved this success. So I followed it. And it was hard, but it's also easy because you have that person in your hands. You have that person that's guiding you. So that helped me. I stayed positive, kept showing up to meetings. Meetings really helped me a lot because it fueled my motivation as well. I also, I learned a lot, and some of the stuff that I'm learning today is what I've learned from the YouTube videos and podcasts. So, on a daily basis, I started leveraging Charles's credibility because I also doubted, how are people going to listen to me? No one's going to listen to me because I have no financial background. But I started to leverage Charles. He was my trainer. He knew a lot. He had so much business, and when people heard about him, it was kind of easy, right? It was easier for me to get the people to become a client than a recruit. But yeah. So I stayed disciplined. I practiced delayed gratification because I know that if I'm able to delay the gratification, I'm able to keep growing. Because if I get that gratification where I feel like I've done it, then I feel like the race is done. But it's not a race; it's a marathon. Mm-hmm. So eventually, the activities a day turned into more results. I became X1. It wasn't just me; it was the whole teamwork and effort of people. Charles, Sheila, my parents, my brother, my wife. All of them helped me get to this point. And there's no